Our next speaker is Salima Hashmi, a painter who has served as the head of the National College of Arts in Pakistan. She is the daughter of one of that country's most renowned poets, Faiz Ahmed Faiz, and represented the first generation of modern artists in the country who carried an artistic identity different from indigenous artists. She is currently Dean of the School of Visual Arts at Beacon House National University. One of the most well-known artists of Pakistan, she is the 1999 recipient of Pakistan's Pride of Performance Award. She'll be speaking on the power of the visual arts. Salima Hashmi.
Thank you. Yes, I don't know how to proceed from there, except that I recently stepped down as the dean, by the way. I'm still teaching 1 day a week, but I've given up the administrative work that was draining me. I'm just looking at some independent art initiatives in Pakistan because, well, the news from Pakistan is never good, but I think in recent years, those people who have been working in the visual arts do know that certain very significant practitioners have made their way internationally. They're showing in biennales and triennales, they're with important galleries internationally. Which means that something there is happening. There is significant art being produced. And how is that in an area which is fairly unstable, as we know from the headlines every week? Well, I think there are two reasons. Number one is that there are one or two art institutions like NCA in Lahore or Beacon House National University or the Indus Valley in Karachi, where these practitioners who are well known, they do teach. So this is an interesting phenomena in Pakistan that practicing professionals are teachers. The other thing is I think there's a generally, and this applies to, I suppose, artists everywhere, artists are very bloody-minded when it gets down to suppressing them, and they do find ways and means of expressing themselves locally and internationally. I thought today I'd just talk a little bit about those initiatives that had happened over the last 15 or 20 years, which are not from, well, the well-known sources, which is private artists making the world, but just look at how quite spontaneously in some cases these initiatives have happened, and they are in response to certain evolving needs. So there is something like the Wasl Artists Collective, which is in Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. And they started with a little bit of seed money from the Open Triangle Trust and proceeded since then to raise money. The center is Karachi. And so they run several residencies. Basically, it's a system of residencies. They have international workshops. They host artists from all over the world. But very significantly, they hold workshops and residencies for local artists from other parts of the country who get a chance to come to Karachi. They've got a residence, actually a physical residence, where they can stay, they can work, and they raise their own funds. These are just some works that have been done there. This is by Sana Mustafa, who is a Pakistani artist working there. Saftar also. These are the Taza Tareen, which means fresh, like fresh milk. Residencies with very young artists who come there. And then, of course, we have artists who come from other parts of the world. From Africa, this was a residency held in Islamabad. This again in Karachi. This was in Lahore. Islamabad, Muzammil Rahil, now doing extremely well. He's a teacher now in Karachi, originally from Lahore. And then they're in conjunction with that, other groups sort of up there, pop-up groups, who get together with no funding. They find funding for that particular show, but they get artists from this particular exhibition, which happened over the summer in Karachi, was really amazing because they just took over this Frere Hall, which is a major building there, which is rarely used for anything. It belongs to the city of Karachi, so they lobbied with the city of Karachi, took it over for this exhibition, and got funding from a local newspaper, and they called it the headlines, to sort of pay some the funder back. And they used the inside of this traditional building, which already has a ceiling painted by Sadiqian, one of the great modernists. But they used the inside to bring up work. And they had very young artists together with established artists who just lent their work at no cost, helped to set up the show. And they drew amazing crowds because this Frere Hall is in the heart of the city. So it has access to anybody and everybody who would walk in, people who would never go to a gallery in one of the more rarefied parts of town. The Indus project is a project again, by artists, some of whom belong to the Vasal Collective, to just do something about the barrenness of Karachi, which has seen so much ethnic conflict, so much religious conflict. And they took to the truck art genre, got young artists to work with truck painters, and they just started painting walls, cement walls, walls outside factories, anything to make the city less barren, physically less barren than it is. And then they just let these artists do what they wanted to do. Some of these were students who were still finishing their studies. Some of them were young professionals, and there was a great sense of camaraderie as this was happening. This was this summer, so this is very recent. The Murray Museum Art Residency, again, is a very young residency. It's been going for about 2 years, and it happened because the artist who's running it, Sabah Khan, her father was a very famous surgeon who died of cancer, and this was in his memory. He had a house in the mountains, and she decided to turn it into, every summer, to turn it into a residency, and chose artists from, lots of artists applied, and they always have 1 or 2 who are from outside Pakistan, and then the other are young artists from within Pakistan. No funding at all. This is money put together by members of the family. They have a board, and they just, solicit funding for that particular event. So this is the area, as you can see, is very peaceful, it's very beautiful. This is the group this year. And the people there, there's a sculptor from Karachi, there was this Korean artist who happened to be in Pakistan. There's this artist from the Hazara community, originally from Afghanistan, but who lives there in Pakistan. So it was a mix, and there's Seema Nusrat, who's working with there are a lot of, these mountainous areas have a large gypsy community. The Gujars who are nomadic, and they come from the northern areas. And they are people without identity cards, so in effect, they really don't exist as citizens of Pakistan. Though they are there as builders of housing, they build roads, they do all kinds of things. This particular group are actually milk sellers. So they have goats and buffaloes, and they move from pasture to pasture, and they provide milk for local communities. The children never go to school, so they invited in this particular group, which was resident at that moment, and the children came in and they worked with the artists. But at the same time, this is an area which has schools which are boarding schools. So they invited some of those students over also. So they had access to a range of students who they worked with. So this is the artists in their studio. The Lahore Biennale Foundation is a new initiative. There is a decision by a group of artists backed by certain corporate funders who decided that Lahore, since it is really the center of visual arts activity in Pakistan and teaching, they decided, Lahore should have its Biennale. Why not? Every city in the world practically is having a Biennale. So Lahore, which is 1,000 years old, they should have a Biennale. But they decided right in the beginning, and I'm one of the people who sort of among their patrons, that it should not be this kind of 2 year, after 2 years, a mega event in which the same Biennale goers who move from Biennale to Biennale all over the world, it should not be yet another venue on their schedule, but it should be something that engages the city all year round. So it is a different approach. And already we've started doing projects within the city. We have also looked at residencies that are happening elsewhere and have supported younger artists who we nominate for those residencies and they go. So it's really providing support for local artists to go elsewhere, to our local artists to do projects within the city, and also now go into the sort of thinking and implementation mode for the Biennale, which hopefully will happen spring of 2017. That is the target date. Earlier it was autumn or winter 2016, but we decided that was a little too ambitious. They've already done certain projects, and very quickly, this was the one that was unveiled last week, which was, this is an area outside the National College of Arts, which is Chowk, Istanbul, which is Istanbul Square. Pakistani, the current government is much enamored with the Turkish government, and we sort of suddenly decided that we would like to follow practically everything that the Turkish government is doing, especially vis-a-vis rapid transit systems. It is totally devastating the fabric of the ancient old city, but never mind. So this is, they held a proposal stage, and then Atif, this is the artist who won it, and he built these little sort of houses, pigeon houses. Pigeons, I have to say, in Pakistan, as indeed the whole of India, they're considered a pretty sacred bird in the sense that they live in shrines. So the attitude and approach towards pigeons is not the same as you will find in Trafalgar Square in London. In our house in Lahore, which is an old house, we have, in one of the ledges outside, this family of pigeons, which has been there since the house was made, which is about 80 years ago. And many a time I have felt I would really like if they would take up residence elsewhere. But no one in the family agrees with me, and they feel that it would be sacrilegious, because obviously they are there to bring contemplation and to bring a great deal of meditation and eventually good fortune to the house. So this was a project that was done by the Lahore Biennale Foundation, and it was a collateral project at the recent Venice Biennale. Rashid Rana, it was the first time that India and Pakistan had a joint pavilion. So this was something that we were very happy about. So we had one Pakistani artist, who's Rashid Rana, internationally known artist, and from India, we had, name forget. But the two of them collaborated, but had two separate projects in the same, Shilpa Gupta. Lahore consisted of being part of this because Rashid built one pavilion or a large cube in Lahore where you walked in, and it was a replica of the room in Venice. And there was a big screen, and you could talk to the people who were walking in and out of the pavilion in Venice. So in fact, the people in Lahore were able to, this is the artists in Lahore, and there across you see Venice. My grandson, who I took to Lahore to see this, he looked at me and says, "Actually, Nani, it's really a big Skype." So put me in my place, good and proper. This is as it looked in Lahore. So you walked in, and there you had the replica. And so these are people in Lahore and in Venice talking to one another across the screen. This is how it looked. And it was very amazing because you had every kind of person in Lahore walking in. And of course, they couldn't believe that they were talking to people in Venice. And of course, Venetians also, the people who were there, thought it was some kind of a video that they were watching or a recording that they're watching. They didn't know it was happening in real time. I was there once, because I went there several times, and there was an old man standing next to me in Lahore who sometime in his youth had been to Italy. And he still remembered some smatterings of Italian, so he decided to try it out to the people who were walking in there. And then he sat down and had this conversation in sort of fairly basic Italian to some gentleman the other side who kept asking him apparently that, are you in Lahore? Are you sure you're in Lahore? And this guy said, yes, I'm in Lahore. So this is in the Lahore audience. And for me, this became such an amazing and potent way of communication between people who would never, ever come across one another otherwise. The Awami Art Collective is a very new initiative, and it started last year. We suddenly saw a lot of rickshaws, you know, the auto rickshaws which take people ferry across. On the back of them, there was blazoned this photograph or image of a woman totally covered in a burqa. And there was this sort of instruction on the back that women are becoming more and more lewd and obscene, and they should be covered like this. And it was a paid message. And it was really offensive. And there was some, you know, organization's name at the end of it. So the response from a group of artists was that they decided to get some rickshaws to paint their back. And we had a message of love and tolerance and how, you know, women and men were equal citizens, etc., etc. So we just got up, we joined, a lot of people gave a bit of money, and we had these 10 rickshaws going around town, and quite a few rickshaws then kept that message on. That's how the Awami Art Collective started, with little or no, it was a kind of a pop-up initiative. Then the second initiative, now that it's grown into a group, they decided, okay, let's do a couple of other things. And so this is, you know, this is just one of the group. They decided, this was this summer, that they had these paper buntings, each one of which carried an incident that had happened from 2008 onwards in Pakistan, which was an incident in which people had been killed for their religious or other beliefs, or because they were of a particular minority group. And each one carried, and they made this maze through which you walked. And as you walked, you could see every year, 2008, so-and-so was killed, was targeted murder, suicide bombing in so-and-so mosque, 15 people killed, grenade attack on a group of Christians, and you walked through it. And as you walked, you got an idea of what had been happening since 2008 in Pakistan in a most graphic and easy way to understand. And this is the maze as shot from above. So it was as you walked, and the response of the city was incredible. Every kind of person, because this is a very popular park. Everybody goes there to walk in the evening from the old city to new city. And so there were, you know, people who were, every kind of person was coming and reading it, and it's all in Urdu, and discussing it, and, you know, people taking notes about what had happened. This particular one is how, you know, in so-and-so madrasa, students were killed because they belonged to a Shia community. So they were killed on that. I mean, you can see how, you know, people were just going, and it was an effective way of really making people realize the state of things. This is a discussion group that happened quite spontaneously when students had gone to the site. So the Awami Art Collective is it's totally without funding. People, you know, put money together for a particular project, and they think it's worthwhile, and they do it, and, you know, you have an outreach in which the city has it. This is something that I was involved with. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan had a project with the EU on tolerance towards minorities. So they gave us a small part of it in which they stipulated that it should be about getting a visual arts exhibition from women of minority communities, and which is what we did. So we had women artists and artisans that we selected from across Pakistan, and they've represented, we had 14 artists, each one representing one community. And then we had this exhibition in 5 venues. One, this is Multan, which is, quite a conservative and ancient town, but each time we had it in a university or an educational institution. So the audience, as it were, was students and faculty. This is a work of Shakila Haider, who's from the Hazara community, originally from Afghanistan. She's trained as a miniature painter. Her work is about cartography and pattern. This is again in Multan, the audience. This is Anushka Rustamji, who is from the Parsi community. She was also trained as a miniature artist, and these are some of the stories that she learned as a child. Her family came from Iran. After in Multan, I found that people wanted to talk and they wanted to ask questions. So I happened to be there at the venue. So there were so many questions about minorities, their rights, how did we select the artists, what the meanings of the works were, and so on. And quite, this is, the venue was in Karachi at the Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture. These are some of the exhibits. We tried to get the artists to engage with artisans, so some of the works were actually the product of artists and artisans working together. Like this work, Seema Nusrat's sculpture, which was done with the shells that women on the beach, the Hindu women on the beach, make tourist objects which are sold, and with shells collected there. So she got to work with them, give them workshops, and they did this particular work which was there. This is one of the artists who was using Hindu iconography. This is in Karachi again. This is some of the women who were engaged locally, who were from the Hindu community, making a rangoli. Incidentally, we had one Indian artist with us, who at that time was studying at our university, and she wanted to engage. She was, you might say, she came from India where Hindus are a majority, and she was taking part in an exhibition which was about women. National College of Arts, Lahore, and Zainab Siddiqui, sister of, this is one of her videos. I'm going to end now with something very quick, and this is, at our university, we decided to do the one thing that is missing. So many artists teach, but so few of them have a background of education degrees. So we've been doing this over the summer, over 3 summers, and since my own sort of background is in art education, which I did in RISD, we got them to be in-service teachers who come in, and over 3 summers they earn an MA, and they're trained to do art education. This is a very rare project, and I don't think it's done anywhere in our region. And they do different kinds of projects. They learn about public art, they do it in practice. This is in Lahore. It's in their own studio practice. They're taught by the best studio practitioners, and they're all people, they're all in-service teachers in schools, a few of them in colleges. And this last, I think this is the last one, this is an artist from Sri Lanka who's there, and he's been working in Jaffna, though he is not Tamil, he's Sinhalese, but he's done these projects in Jaffna as a result of his work with us. Srinagar, this is a student who's from Kashmir. These are just some of the work. This is from the northern areas, one of our students from the northern areas. Just showing you some of the work that has been happening. Menul Islam from Bangladesh, who's studying with us. Munis Shah from Srinagar in Kashmir. And of course, so much of the work is to do with where they come from, their concerns, their conflicts, and last image of something that is just happening recently, where artists have turned to telling stories about art through the comic book. So this is, in a sense, taking it out into a much bigger area and communicating. So Shakir Ali was one of the first modernists in Pakistani art, and so this group has decided to make comic books about his life. And this is now happening on a broader scale, but this is the first initiative in which you're going to take stories of artists and their lives through the comic book format to talk to a much larger audience of children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Salima.